Daybreak Africa is your one-stop top-notch breakfast show that brings you all the interesting stories happening in and around Africa.
Because we have all the morning essentials,
including the latest news, sports, weather, and events. And of course, the people.
Daybreak Africa on Television Nigerian.
Weekdays, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m.
It is a bright, beautiful Tuesday morning, and we'd like to say good morning to you and many thanks for joining us on Daybreak Africa on Television Nigeria. My name is Elvis Oga. I trust you had a wonderful night rest.
Yeah, good morning everyone. My name is Mercy Joe. You're reaching us live from our Abuja studio here in Nigeria. I hope you slept fine.
Yeah, I did. How about you?
I slept very fine, even though I woke up in the middle of the night.
Same thing happened to me. I woke up around 2 a.m. and I had to solve the
exactly.
net. I had to solve the net. So I went back to sleep around 5, 4, thereabout.
Oh.
And then before 6, I was up again.
I really can't tell what happened to me yesterday night, but I just woke up to pray.
Wow, we're super glad to know that you are with us this morning, and then we'll be taking you on this beautiful journey through 10 o'clock thereabout. Before we hand it over to our next package, which is Business Daily with Chiwendu. But meanwhile, a whole lot actually happened yesterday.
Yes, the gradual easing of the lockdown has been extended by another 4 weeks.
Wow.
And schools would be open, gradually opened. That is only going to be for the graduates, those that are graduating SS2 and SS3, SS3,
primary
6,
and then the final year students in tertiary institutions.
Exactly.
Wow.
And then there's a gradual lifting of the interstate ban. And then aviation getting ready to be opened.
I think the ban on aviation or on our air borders has actually been lifted totally.
Yeah.
But I saw practically from the speech of the appropriate authority concerning that said that as long as they can start operation, that they are free to do that already.
Yeah.
And you were talking about the guidelines that they were actually put in place for the aviation industry to reopen activities or resume flight time.
I think 3 hours before flight time, because there's going to be lots of checks, ensuring of people putting on their face masks, probably using their thermometers to check everyone to make sure everyone is free of COVID-19 before transporting them to any other state. But then the thing is that even before we're saying that they're even gradually going to lift the lockdown on the interstate travels, people have been traveling. Yeah. So it's not new. Even the PTF
they realized that.
So they said, even though, and in statement, they said, even though people have been traveling before we're saying this, they know it.
They know. You know, that was why they actually they had to summon the police boss the last time, and then he was told to intensify effort to see that there's actually total restriction on interstate movement. But like, I don't know how we do it, but we always try to find a way around several things. But the essence of all of these things is just for our own safety, for our own good, and so we must try as much as possible to see that we remain safe, we stay safe, and then we break the chain of the virus. Exactly. All right, let's talk about the whole extension of the eased lockdown and everything. It came as a surprise to most Nigerians. What I mean is, Nigerians yesterday there was a rumor, or was that miscommunication, that there's going to be a return back of a total lockdown for 2 weeks. No. And then oppositely, we now saw that the eased lockdown has been extended
by 4 more weeks. That's 1 month.
From today till 28th of July.
Wow. The thing is that people were expecting, or there actually were rumors that there's going to be another total lockdown
for 2 weeks.
But even the PTF, the president, they know that it wouldn't be possible for there to be another lockdown. It would be really very hard for Nigerians.
I love the second expression more than the first one. When you say it wouldn't be possible, if that is what is needed for us to stay alive, I think they could do it, but it will be very hard.
It will be very hard because the situation is really very fatigued right now. People are getting tired of the whole situation. So the thing is that whichever way, life has to go on and go on despite COVID-19. We know the cases are increasing, but it's because of the increasing testing that they are doing. So people are now coming out positive and what have you. But life has to move on. Schools have to open because they can't. People can't start missing out one full academic year.
Well, I love the fact that the PTF and even the president in his own wisdom has actually tried to strike a balance between resumption of some of the normalcy or normal activities of lives, and then tried to maintain the healthy or liveliness of, or the lives of Nigerians, as the case may be. Because if you take a look at it, so many people will be like, okay, contradictorily, like when Victor was talking about on a newspaper review segment with us a couple of weeks back, he said when the PTF boss, the PTF chairman said Nigeria should brace up for the real COVID-19 because it seems we're actually getting to heading to the peak of it and all. And Victor asked a question, does that mean, because okay, it was in clear terms, it was more like we've not really started with COVID-19. And we already had about 2 weeks or 2 months or 3 months lockdown. And then Victor asked the question, does that mean when we've not really started, we had lockdown, and then when we're about to start, we now ease the lockdown?
Well, should we say that probably the lockdown was given quite too early?
Yeah, that's the point. But I think I love the fact that you've been able to point out something, because people are trying to understand why extending the lockdown instead of maybe going back to total lockdown when we're having more cases. But I think practically what Nigerians are seeing is going to be hard. And then what Nigerians are seeing at the moment, it might not necessarily be a case of more transmission, but just a case of more testing, like you highlighted.
Yes.
So if we have more testing, definitely we'll have more results.
Yes, we'll have more results, either positive or negative. So the thing here is that this responsibility boils down to the people, even the various governments of states now. I think they have larger responsibility again once more, because if the schools have gradually been opened, the measures that are going to be put in place have to be checked. Mostly those government schools. I keep repeating this thing. Government, federal schools, they are largely populated.
True.
You understand, because of the situation of the country, we have more students going to the federal and the government schools.
Inadequate facilities.
Exactly. And I keep saying this thing. A capacity of a classroom that is probably 500, but because of no enough facility, you now see that it has to consume 1,000.
That's more like fair. Practically, when I was in school, I had a class that was supposed to contain about 95 to 105 people, but we're more than 2,000 receiving lectures.
You see that. And the thing is, because it's not everyone that can afford to take their children to the private school. So what now happens to the ordinary man in the society? He now starts being scared. And then ordinarily, even the ordinary man right now, is even very nonchalant about the whole COVID-19 situation. And you're telling him his child can go to school. He will take the child to school. I'm telling you. And those parents now that can't even afford to eat, is it the government that is going to give those children the face mask as they're going to that school, or is the parents that will have to provide when they can't eat? And if the child has to go to school to resume lessons every other day, that means he has to have new face mask every day. It shouldn't be one face mask being used or washed and used, like that newspaper headlines we read that day that people were picking face masks from dump site. You can imagine situations like that now start happening.
It's really bad. I think there is something you talked about that I love so much, when you said, okay, this is more like putting more responsibilities on the respective state government, because if schools should actually reopen, I think I love the way the federal government has been able to handle the COVID-19 situation to an extent, especially dealing with different states, when they allow the state that freedom to handle the situation accordingly, because we don't have the amount of transmission.
They have with their own severity and measures.
Different. So that does it, because there is another part of this lockdown extension or the eased lockdown extension that most people are not talking about. I saw from some quarters, or in some quarters, where the federal government was talking about maybe trying to order another total lockdown in about 18 local government. But I cannot tell you the list now, but that's what it's actually bringing up. So when the time is right, basically we might get to see it. If it's a rumor, they say there's an element of truth in every rumor and all. But now we're talking about different sectors that are going to be reopened, like the education sector, like aviation, and then the interstate travel as well. We need to look
at... Even though they have been traveling.
Yeah, you keep making reference to it. Okay, still talking about the educational sector. I love the fact that some professional bodies that are actually concerned with the business of education have come out to air their voices or their concern concerning that. We read from the pages of the newspaper the other day when the Nigerian Union of Teachers, NUT, came out to condemn the reopening of schools. And then we also heard from ASU, actually not being okay or comfortable with it. But like you were making reference to people missing the whole year because of COVID-19, at least we need to adapt. So the federal government has been considerate. The federal government has been considerate enough to see that the students in exam classes like the primary 6, GSS 3, SS 3, and even final years of the tertiary institutions reopen while the rest stays at home. So maybe we try to look at how prepared these facilities to accommodate the new mode of operation or the modus operandi, because that has actually been brought upon us by the COVID-19.
Yeah.
We saw what happened in China when they reopened their schools, where they had to make new arrangements for sitting. You know, there's this thing they call workstation that you find in libraries, where everybody has his own seat and there's a demarcation between it. So if basically we can do all of some
they
of those
even had
things.
this fumigation stuff that when
I saw one too. I don't know how realistic that is, where the student wear it like a regalia and then it has something like wings that does not allow you come in contact or come close to somebody else.
Nice.
But from the side of the federal government, I saw that they said the schools have to make provision for running water, good antiseptic soaps, and then we have surface sanitizers, hand sanitizers and all. Beside that, we need to look at how we can actually separate these people. Thank God it's not everybody that's going back to school at the moment. So the facilities that's actually been used to serve the whole school can
except for those graduating students.
Those special classes that are actually going back to school at the moment.
I don't know. This is a suggestion.
Okay.
I would love to see a situation where probably not just the graduating classes to resume.
Okay.
If all of the students of the primary, secondary, and tertiary education, if all of them can resume, can they use PPEs?
Wow, all of them.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm suggesting. What do you think? Can't they use PPEs?
We need to look at how capital intensive that would be.
Definitely. It's just the same way. I don't know. Probably it's just like they're using uniforms already.
And then, you know, PPE is just one-off thing. Like, you don't reuse it. Well, it's a suggestion. It's a suggestion.
It's very critical. But it's a suggestion.
It's quite critical.
I think some parents are going to look into that. Some parents are going to be so extra careful right now.
Do you know? This is more like another situation of our inside life that we talked about yesterday. when we want to have something like that, do you know? Unfortunately, it is those people in the private school that will be able to do that. But that is where we have better management in terms of adequacy of the facilities. So they might not really, they might not really need it as much as those in the public schools need it, because I'm talking about how densely populated the public schools are, and then how
that was why they were the
first
I actually spoke about, because we know how it is in the government and the federal institutions.
I think basically that suggestion actually works well, and then we want to see a situation where the other professional bodies that has to do with education, like the NUT and ASU, if they can come out and then maybe proper solution, and then tell the government or tell us how they actually want us to go about this thing, because having people defer a whole session because of COVID-19, that means like we're not.
So what about those that are meant to graduate from? this particular class or this particular stage to the next one that leads them to finishing.
And don't forget, we already have myriads of problems plaguing the educational sector in Nigeria already. We're talking about the deteriorating quality of the education facilities, and then we talk about incessant industrial actions by the professional bodies that actually make you spend 7 years in school for a course of 4 years and all.
A course of 6 years, you spend 9 years.
9 years, 10 years. And then there are several other things that actually has been the problem with educational sector. Really.
And then there's another rule or policy. It's a no mask, no attending to you. And mostly the government part, that is. So if you're going to any government institution right now or ministry, if you do not have your face mask on, they would not attend to you. I think whoever you are, they wouldn't attend to you.
I don't even get it why people need to wait for such conditions before they do what is right.
Yes.
Like, we know it can actually be hard, but if you're in your car, nobody forces you to use it, but just make sure that you have it handy and then be careful of how you keep it. I think I remember yesterday or the one when I was trying to position my face mask, and I remember that, okay, I have some notes of money around that place. I'll be like, I can't keep it there.
Yes. I was the one.
Okay.
It was I.
I can't keep it there.
Yes.
And so we need to look at all of those things and see how we can actually live our lives.
Yes.
Then,
because the whole guidelines are in repetition each and every other day. Use your face mask. When you come back, wash your hands. If you're even in public and you feel like your hands are dirty, do not touch your eyes, nose, or mouth. If you don't have water, have your hand sanitizers at least, and then you use it on your hands. Face mask, very important. There are different kinds of face masks these days. If you're very fashion conscious, I've said this before, we have the black face mask, we have Ankara face mask. In fact, there are different kinds of face masks. Face masks are selling out these days. Yeah. It's a very good venture. Yeah. You might want to think about it.
Okay, and then apart from that, we also have to look at the gradual ease or the partial lifting of the ban on interstate travel. We need to look at it, and then, okay, because you said even though initially people were finding their ways to move across different states already. So what does this actually portend now? Which situation is that putting us into, and then what are the necessary things that we need to do so that we get it right, so that we don't run the risk of maybe transporting the virus from one state to another and then not risking our lives?
Okay, the thing about this interstate lockdown, interstate travel ban, you know, from Nasarawa coming to Abuja, Maraba, that area, they are always checking everybody coming into Abuja.
You know, that's more like a special point, because most people that actually work in Abuja happens to be residing around that side.
So, I'm trying to applaud the task force already for that, for doing that measure. So they always test people, not by using kits, because I think when we say testing, most people are expecting to hear you're using the kits to test each person. No, it's very expensive. I mean, thermometer, trying to check their temperatures before passing. Even if you're walking by, they would literally stop you and check your temperature and what have you. So I think if at least that can be happening at all checkpoints, all state borders, it will be better. I don't think that will be too much. Thermometers, you give it to the police operative, and they should really be very diligent with it and be truthful and honest with it. They shouldn't say, okay, 2 o'clock will not do, then we start by 3 o'clock. Because I've been asking this question. I don't know if COVID-19 flies in a particular time
and then leaves
at another particular time.
Okay, because when you talk about the checkpoint at the Nyanya Maraba that actually separate Nasarawa and Abuja, I think somebody actually shared the same testimony of how diligent they have been with the process in that particular place, where the person happens to be a media colleague with another platform, and he was sharing with me when he stayed late, he was on night shift, and then he was coming back after 10, and it was not really easy, especially from that main border. He told me he couldn't cross. Did he
have any pass?
He had his ID card and all, but like they were not even ready to compromise anything. So, but they were kind enough to tell him that there's another alternative route that he could follow, even though there are still checks there, but that one, they allow essential staff to pass, but this one is capital no. He was telling me that there was a police siren, or one of these sirens that is actually meant for some of this elite in front of him. They turned him back too.
Exactly. Now, talking about pass, I was speaking to a friend yesterday, and he was telling me that even that president, was it those pass that they will put on their car, COVID-19 pass, president, what. Even now, if you even move with that pass, they will say they need your ID card, not that pass, to know that you're really an essential worker. And they said, they will even tell you, as we said, essential workers, that you're working with the media, health, or maybe a banker or something.
And then possibly the food.
Yes, but not the normal, just you want to pass or whatever you do. And then there's now forging of passes. In the initial stage of COVID-19, when we were having situation, I talked about that
they were being sold.
I'm telling you, I heard it somewhere here in Abuja. And I was like, if you hear the amount that they're selling it for, it's really very, very ridiculous. Wow. Anyway, I know we have a lot to talk about. But because of time, we'll go on a quick break. And we'll go on a break, and then we'll bring to you Across Africa. All right, welcome back, and sorry for that lead to confusion mix up there. We're going to be having the dailies now with us, and we're going to go through the newspaper this morning.
Yes, we actually have some interesting headlines that are actually on the front page of the various national dailies of this morning, and I'd like us to begin with the Nigerian Tribune. and we take it from top to the bottom. Above the nameplate, we have this headline that says, Kaduna set up White Paper Committee on 1992, 1995, 2020 Zango-Qatar crisis. All right, beside that, you have EU excludes Nigeria to allow 15 countries in when borders open July 1st. All right, below the nameplate, you also have 1 killed, 70 buildings destroyed as rain wreaks havoc in Ondo. That can be found on the page 30 of the Nigerian Tribune. And you can also look out, industrialist Bode Akindele dies at 88. I saw that yesterday and I actually felt bad. This is actually coming few days after burying late governor of your state. And then Iran issues arrest warrant for Trump over killings of Soleimani, and that story can actually be found on the Nigerian Tribune. The banner headline we have here is talking about FG lifts ban on interstate travels, graduating classes set to resume. And then we just take this last two that's actually below the picture story. COVID-19, PDP raises the alarm over Kogi, queries Bolos in action. You can check that out on the page 2 of the Nigerian Tribune. And lastly, Buhari to perform virtual inauguration of Ajokuta, Kaduna, and Kaduna Kano gas pipeline today. I came across it yesterday and I was thinking it's actually a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's progress. So far made. Well, you're done with the Tribune newspaper, yeah?
Yes.
The thing is that yesterday, before I go to the Daily Sun, next paper, yesterday we popped a question.
Yeah.
And we asked how many lungs are there in the human body. And we had some answers yesterday in our comment section, which we'll be revealing later on in the program. But today we still have a question for today, which is how many bones are in the human body as well. But we're going scientific, biologically.
Maybe we need to make a switch someday and then have the art fully represented as well. I think today I'm not going to tell you, you need to tell us more about this, because basically from our elementary science back in the days, we knew about this. So I'm expecting more comments today. All
right. How many bones are there in the human body? Do drop your comments for us. Thank you. Well, let's move into the Daily Sun newspaper this morning. The big headline here: teachers protest as federal government reopens schools. You spoke about that.
I made mention of it earlier on
this
with
morning.
NUT and also not being okay with reopening of schools.
All right. GSS3 students, primary 6 appeals to resume. Interstate travel ban lifted. Flight begins soon. Curfew extended by 4 weeks in Abuja, Lagos. Below the picture story there, government considers total lockdown of 18 local governments contributing 60% of COVID-19 cases.
Remember I talked
about that this morning. 3 deaths, 24 health workers infection frightening, says Ebonyi governor. That's on governor. That's on page 6 and 28 of the Daily Sun newspaper. Still beside that, IGP orders Ondo CP to restore deputy governor's security details as impeachment attempt fails. Wow. All right, you can get a hold of that story on page 29 of the Daily Sun newspaper this morning. Still below that, APC caretaker committee tells aggrieved members to withdraw all suits. Begin reconciliation process. That's on page 26. Seized funds. EFCC releases 1.25 billion naira to Benue Aso Savings Insurance Firm. That's also on page 26. Quite an interesting headline here. Court dismisses certificate forgery suit against Obaseki. That's on page 28 of the Daily Sun newspaper. And I'll finally take this headline here. Insecurity. Igbo group presses for enforcement of Operation Lion Walk. That's on page 27 of the Daily Sun newspaper. And that does it for the Daily Sun newspaper this morning.
You know, I saw that you had to introduce the headline concerning Obaseki's suit nullification.
Yes.
And
so forgery.
I came across that yesterday, and then I tried to read details of the story to see what actually played out there. And then, funny enough or surprisingly, none of the parties were there for the judgment. That actually made the judge to actually throw the suit out, and like the defendant was not there, and then the plaintiff was
not there. Just Obaseki.
No,
he wasn't even there.
He's the defendant.
But they just dismissed.
They dismissed it. All right, let's take a look at headlines from the Guardian newspaper. And then the screamer headline we have from this National Daily says, FG lifts ban on interstate travel, OK's local flights. All right, extends second phase of eased lockdown by 4 weeks, approves resumption of graduating students. And then below that, you have consumers operators pitch battle on pay TV. I think I came across this story last week where I saw that the Nigerian lawmakers, the National Assembly, were actually trying to question the operators of this pay TV, where they don't really make other option for people apart from the prepaid option. The consumer were actually clamoring for pay as you watch, so that you can actually, instead, because most people, they just subscribe and they don't get to use their bouquet.
Yes, most people don't. What are even the ones that it's only you actually subscribing just to watch a particular channel?
That's what they were actually talking about. So maybe they listen to voices like that of yours, and they are coming out with this. Okay, let's take a look at more headlines from the Guardian newspaper. Why tariff increase won't solve power sector woes. Who is saying this? Pick a copy of the Guardian newspaper to know, and then you can actually get that story on the page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. Experts warn of more coronavirus cases death in coming weeks, still on the page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. And then Igbo leaders fume as fake Ohaneze Ndigbo registers with CAC. That story is on the page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. And then one begins to wonder, how do you now tell which is authentic? And this one already has a registration with Corporate Affairs Commission.
So you want? Are you trying to say now that the CAC, they do not have protocols that are being followed first before to verify before one is actually being registered?
That would be very interesting. I think we just need to look the details out on the page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. And then finally, the last one I love to take from this National Daily says, Kano Speaker CP risk jail over lawmaker suspension. That story is on the page 5 of the Guardian newspaper, and that's it for the Guardian newspaper.
All right, moving to this day newspaper, the headline here, I think the lift of the ban is buzzing on all the newspapers this morning. Federal government lifts ban on interstate travels, opens schools for graduating students, extends ease of lockdown by 4 weeks. Churches, mosques, open bars, nights, clubs, spas, gym remain closed. Are they really closed? Nationwide curfew stays. COVID-19 cases rise by 566 to 25,133, with 9,402 discharged, 573 dead. It's suicidal to reopen schools now, ASU wants. You can get a hold of that full story on page 9 of this day newspaper. Below that, INEC vets nominations for Edo governor election today. APC caretakers adopt 6-point agenda to reposition party. That's still on page 9 of this day newspaper. Above the nameplate, IMF advises Nigeria to slow down on tax drive. That's really very important right now, seeing the situation of the country.
Exactly, because most people are actually not doing the activities they have been doing
so fully. Exactly, so where is it supposed to come from? Now wouldn't be the time to start following people up. Pay your tax, your tax. All right, that's it for this day newspaper this morning.
All right, and on to the Nation newspaper. We have the story about Edo here with the caption, Edo 2020, certificate forgery, court strikes out suit against Obaseki. We had a publication that talked about that earlier on as taken by Messijo. And then below that, APC seeks support for Izeyamu, ADC confident. Minister CSOs canvass peaceful election. And then let's take a look at headlines we have from that actually above the nameplate of this publication. Business mogul Akindele dies at 88. Buhari marking the month. Kogi CJ's death raises issues on state virus status. And then we have this sport report here that's talking about Osimhen with the caption, Osimhen is best African player in French League One. And then this Screamer headline is talking about COVID-19. 18 councils with 60% of cases for lockdown. Lagos, Abuja, Edo, others top list. And then we just take a look at this interesting one that is slightly above the banner headline. Electricity tariff hike to wait as Lawan Gbajabiamila intervened. You know, there was actually a purported a report of a purported hike in the tariff of electricity.
Yes.
But the both chambers of the National Assembly had to intervene and tell them to wait till first quarter of 2021 already. That sounds like me already telling the story already. So you can actually pick a copy of the Nation newspaper and to get the details of this and even more.
Okay. Moving to this Daily Times newspaper. At last, federal government lifts ban on interstate movements. Approves safe reopening of schools. Says primary schools, daycare centers to remain closed. OK's resumption of domestic flights. Moves to lockdown 18 local government with highest number of COVID-19 cases. Below the picture nameplate there, federal government merges CAC tax registration to boost ease of doing business. Beside that, more Akwa Ibom government house staff test positive to COVID-19 in Uyo.
That's a serious one.
I keep asking this question, how they got it, because this, I don't know. Anyway, another story here. Jigawa to plant 2.5 million seedlings to tackle erosion desertification. You get a hold of that in this Daily Times newspaper. Still below that, Oshun Court dismisses Monarch's application to stop removal. Bauchi establishes free N-Power registration centers. That's a good one there. Encourage you where people can go, because sometimes some people want to register, but the money to go to this cyber cafes to even register, some of them don't have access to mobile phones that have internet and what have you. Well, that does it for this Daily Times newspaper this morning.
Okay, interesting. Like, you were actually applauding the decision of that particular government for providing centers for people to go register for Empower, like you said. So most people might really want to register, but they don't really have access to internet and basic facilities that will actually help them register. So that's more like a people-oriented program, like collaborating with what the federal government has put in place to help their people enjoy it.
I think the federal government is doing theirs, and then the state governments do theirs as well. So it's
a
combined effort.
The big thing that is actually left for you to do now, if you happen to be from this place, just to avail yourself. All right, on to the Punch newspaper, and we have let's begin with the picture story that is actually showing a construction of a road. You know, so many of our roads have actually been washed by erosion. Rather. And then from the story actually you took from that last paper that happens to talk about planting of seedlings to tackle desertification and erosion. That means largely a large chunk of erosion from that particular part of the country is basically wind erosion. So if desertification is actually being handled, you can actually handle it to an extent. All right. The Screamer headline from the Punch newspaper says APC interim panel to visit Tinubu begs members to withdraw suit. You can actually look that up on the page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Gaidom hands over to Buni, comments Buhari for saving a ruling party. You recall that when we were talking about this, I said that emergency meeting, the NEC meeting that was actually held last week, and then the decision taken by the president actually paint Gaidom in another light, because initially most people were feeling like he is the bad egg in this situation, looking at how he came in and everything. But for the fact that he's actually been sagacious enough to handle everything, like, it's actually good.
Sagacious.
Okay, we also have below the picture story, federal government OK's primary 6 GSS 3 SS 3 resumption ends interstate lockdown. Daycare, other primary, secondary schools, classes, higher institutions remain shut. Domestic flights to resume. Churches, mosque cinemas remain closed. And Messi was asking if they are actually really closed, especially the gym centers.
Yes, because, I mean, to be frank, we know lots of people that say, I'm going to the gym in the morning. I'll call you back, I'm going to the gym. I'm in the gym. Even the other day, last weekend, I was showing Susan a video of someone that I saw
walking out somewhere
in a club. The person posted it on WhatsApp, and I'm like, see.
Maybe the person brought the party home. Okay, finally, let's take a look at this interesting one that's actually been everywhere. NPA tackles whistleblower over $1 billion secret account claim. That story is on the page 1 of the Punch newspaper. I don't know if you've actually come across that story. You know, there's a certain percentage of money that is supposed to be given to whistleblower, which is one of the policies the federal government has actually adopted in the fight against corruption. And then this person is saying he blew the whistle that actually led to a particular $1 billion secret account claim. And was not giving. But I saw the statement from MP yesterday, and it was logical. Like they said, we don't give percentage for maybe exposing, but we give only when the money has been recovered. So maybe this money has not been recovered.
You see, this is still talking about patriotism in the country. You blew the whistle.
You're expecting something.
And you're really expecting something. Are you not supposed to be a Nigerian? If you blew the whistle, is it not for your benefit and our benefit? Whether they give you money, they don't give you money, you're a patriotic citizen of the country. That's the most important part.
I have a lot to say, but let's leave it for now.
All right, let's take the Business Day newspaper. CBN's 50 billion naira COVID-19 stimulus fund falls short against familiar foes. As less than 3% of SMEs receive loans, stakeholders suggest ways to increase impact of fund.
3%, that's actually very low turnout.
Very, very, very low. Beside that, federal government lifts interstate travel ban, reopen school. Well, that's on almost all the headlines of the newspapers. Inside COVID-19, Nigeria to see higher testing numbers as Lagos taps 758 labs. That's on page 2 of the Business Day newspaper. And that's all for the Business Day newspaper.
That's actually all for the newspaper review segment as well. This
morning. Well, our question for the day still remains, how many bones are there in the human body? And our question for yesterday was, how many lungs are there in the human body? We had lots of answers, and we'll be bringing that back for you today. But our question for today, you go to our comment section, you drop your comments and your answer, and then we'll review that tomorrow. The question of yesterday, which was how many lungs are there in the body, would be reviewed later in the program this morning. All right, we'll go on a very quick break, and then we'll be right back.
Welcome to News Across Africa on Daybreak Africa. In Niger, General Salou Djibo, a former head of Niger's military junta, will contest the 2020 presidential election after being adopted on Sunday as a candidate for the Peace, Justice, Progress Party. He accepted the candidacy at a ceremony before some 5,000 people at the Niamey Sports Palace. Djibo, 55, led the military junta that ousted President Mamadou Tanja in February 2010 after he tried to stay on in power beyond his 2-term limit. Djibo stayed in power until April 2011 before handing back power to civilian rule in the form of the current president, Mamadou Issoufou. The ruling party has picked Mohamed Bazoum, the Minister of Interior, as its candidate. He retired from the army in 2019 and hopes to succeed Issoufou, whose final term runs out this year. The first round of the presidential election in Niger, coupled with the legislative elections, is set for December 27, 2020. Women make up over 30% of Burundi's new cabinet, according to a government-released issue over the weekend. President Evariste Ndayishimiye, in a decree, nominated a 16-member cabinet to help run government business. The cabinet is also inclusive of the Prime Minister Alain Guillaume Bunyoni and Vice President Prosper Bazumbanza. Portfolios handed to Labor, Tourism, Communication. Ex-President Minister Tandi Ndikamana also maintains her ministerial portfolio. A former police chief, Gavres Ndrukuboka, now Minister for Interior and Security, and PM Buyoni are currently under US and EU sanctions for their roles in repression and rights violation in 2015. The task ahead of the cabinet includes turning around this country's economy, security, and resettling Burundi's relations with its neighbors and in the East African region at large. Another significant appointment is the Foreign Affairs post, which was handed to the country's top team athletes, reported on Monday. Vice President Saulos Chilima has been handed the Economic Planning and Development and Public Sector Reforms portfolio. The President also named chief secretaries to the government and his chief of staff. Meanwhile, over in Parliament, sitting arrangements were changed as lawmakers from the President's Malawi Congress Party and Chilima's UTM moved to the majority benches, while Peter Mutharika's DPP and UDF members moved to the opposition side. New leadership were also announced in line with the changes. The Speaker of the House remains Catherine Gotani-Hara, an MCP member who became Malawi's first female Speaker of Parliament back in June 2019. Malawi saw a new President Lazarus Chakwera on Sunday for a 5-year term after winning the rerun of a hotly disputed election. Chakwera won the historic rerun of the presidential poll on Saturday on sitting former leader Peter Mutharika. Hundreds of people gathered at the Bingu International Convention Center in Lilongwe to witness Chakwera's take oath. He pledged to develop the country beyond the expectations of Malawians. The leaders of Egypt, Sudan, and Ethiopia agreed late Friday to return to talks aimed at reaching an accord over the filling of Ethiopia's new hydroelectric dam on the Blue Nile, according to statements from the three nations. Early Saturday, Seleshi Bekele, Ethiopia's water and energy minister, confirmed that the country had decided during an African Union summit to restart stalled negotiations and finalize an agreement over the contentious mega project within 2 to 3 weeks with support from the AU. The announcement was a modest reprieve for weeks of bellicose rhetoric and escalating tensions over the $4.6 billion Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, which Ethiopia had vowed to start filling at the start of the rainy season in July. Egypt and Sudan said Ethiopia would refrain from filling the dam next month until the countries reach a deal. Ethiopia did not comment immediately on the start of the filling of the period. Ethiopia has hinged its development ambitions on the colossal dam, describing it as a crucial lifeline to bring millions out of poverty. Egypt, which relies on the Nile for more than 90% of its water supplies and already faces high water stress, fears a devastating impact on its booming population of 100 million. Sudan, which also depends on the Nile for water, has played a key role in bringing the two sides together after the collapse of US-mediated talks in February. Just last week, Ethiopian Foreign Minister Gedu Andarachiu warned that his country could begin filling the dam's reservoir unilaterally after the latest round of talks with Egypt and Sudan failed to reach an accord governing how the dam will be filled and operated. A Cuban medical brigade arrived in Guinea-Bissau to assist in the fight against COVID-19. The group of 21 health workers, including 11 doctors and 10 nurses, are also expected in Guinea-Conakry, where the South American country already fought Ebola between 2014 and 2016, and with which Cuba has several cooperation agreements. The doctor's trip is part of government strategy to combat the new coronavirus pandemic in Guinea-Bissau, which recorded over 1,600 confirmed cases since March, with death toll at 22 as of June 2019. Almost 3,000 Cuban medics have since the outbreak of the pandemic been deployed to about 28 countries in Latin America, the Caribbean, Europe, Africa, and the Middle East. Countries they are assisting include South Africa, Italy, Andorra, Qatar, Mexico, Honduras, Venezuela, Haiti, and Jamaica. That is all for News Across Africa. Daybreak Africa continues shortly.
All right, welcome back. That was Across Africa. Now we're going to launch another package on the program, Healthy Living, foods that boost the child's brain. Food that boosts the child's brain. Let's go and see that, and we'll be right back.
Welcome to another episode of Healthy Living. Today I'll be talking on foods that boost children's brains. A child's brain undergoes an amazing period of development from birth to 3, producing more than 1 million neural connections each second. The development of the brain is influenced by many factors. As fast as children race from classroom to activity to home and back again, their brains are just as rapidly growing and changing. The foods that they eat are important. These years are critical for brain development, and what they eat affects focus and cognitive skills. Want your child to do better in school? Take a close look at diet. Certain brain foods help boost a child's brain growth and improve brain function, memory, and concentration. Eggs. Eggs are a rich source of protein and also contain good amounts of chlorine, a nutrient that is necessary for the proper function and development of the brain. One of the best facts is that eggs are extremely versatile. The protein and nutrients in eggs help kids concentrate. Fish. Fish is a good source of vitamin D and omega-3 5, which protect the brain from declining mental skills and memory loss. Salmon, tuna, and sardines are all rich in omega-3 5. The more omega-3 5 we can get to the brain, the better it will function and the better kids will be able to focus. Apples and plums. Kids often crave sweets, especially when they are feeling sluggish. Apples and plums are lunchbox friendly and contain quercetin, an antioxidant that may fight decline in mental skills. Milk and yogurt. Milk and yogurt also provide a bigger punch with both protein and carbohydrates, the preferred source of energy for the brain. Milk contains vitamins that benefit the neuromuscular system and the overall life cycle of human cells. Lean beef, meat. Iron is an essential mineral that helps kids stay energized and concentrate at school. Lean beef is one of the best absorbed sources of iron. In fact, just 1 ounce per day has been shown to help the body absorb iron from other sources. Beef also contains zinc, which helps with memory. For vegetarians, black bean and soy burgers are great iron-rich meatless options. Beans are an important source of non-heme iron, a type of iron that needs vitamin C to be absorbed. Eat tomatoes, red bell pepper, orange juice, strawberries, and beans to get the most iron. Avocado. Avocado is full of monounsaturated fats, the good fats that kids actually need in their diet every day. In fact, it's recommended that 25 to 30% of kids' calories come from fats, primarily the unsaturated ones. Avocado goes over well with kids when served as a spread on wraps in place of mayonnaise or cream cheese. Ripe avocado is a perfect baby food spoon straight out of its peel. Sweet potato. This pod is one of the most nutritious vegetables around. The vitamin A in sweet potatoes keeps eyes healthy and acts like an antioxidant in the body. Sweet potatoes are a favorite among babies because of their natural sweetness and bright color, but they are often forgotten once kids get older. Finally, water. Although not a food nor containing any nutrients, water is important for hydration, which helps to maintain blood flow and oxygen transport to all parts of the body. Dehydration can cause lethargic irritability and reduced ability to stay alert and concentrate. And that is the much we have for you on today's episode of Healthy Living.
Alright, welcome back from our health desk with that amazing package on food that boosts the child's brain.
Yeah, talking about water. Water is really very essential for the body, for at least 8 cups away dehydration in children, and it's very much needed. Sweet potatoes, at least it's sweet.
Eggs and several other food.
Yeah.
I love it when you talk about how sweet potato is.
Yes, these children, it's hard.
They just love sweet things.
Just love sweet things. So sweet potatoes is sweet and it's natural. So
that will not be hard for them to consume.
Trying to play safe in the long run.
Okay, it's still Daybreak Africa on television Nigeria, and if you're just joining us, welcome on board. If you've been with us, many thanks for staying tuned. Alright, we also will be taking a look at some comment we got concerning our teaser question for yesterday, and then we still talk about today's one. Like, the question for the day is, how many bones does the human body have? Then yesterday the question was, how many lungs does the human body have? And then we have series of comments, series of answers. We'll be taking a look at some cogent one that the people took out their time to describe where these are, because so many people actually got the answers right.
Yes, but then the description also matters as well.
Yeah.
I'll take this comment.
Okay.
This is coming from Comrade Patrick Eza. He said, we have two lungs in the human body, right lung and left lung.
Wow.
So that's a like.
Okay.
On that.
I have this very comprehensive and interesting one here from Mirabel Godwin. And she says, humans have two lungs, a right lung and a left lung. They are situated within the thoracic cavity of the chest. The right lung is bigger than the left, which shares space in the chest with the heart.
Sure.
Wow.
You see, very, very precise. It's like hitting the hammer on the nail.
You know, there's this thing she talked about, some two keywords, thoracic cavity.
She should be, we need to check her out later. Well, our question for today is, how many bones does the human body have? Our question for yesterday was, how many lungs does the human body have? And the answer is 2. One on the left and one on the right. And we had a couple of answers, and we just read out 2 precise comments to you. Thank you very much for dropping your comments. We'd love you to drop your comments again for us today, for our question of today, which is how many bones the human body have. And we'll read out your reply to us tomorrow on the program. Well, for now, we'll be launching a street creed on the police and the lawyers, who they lie pass. That's how I would put it.
Wow.
Let's hear what the people had to say about that.
What's up, my people? How you doing? Waiting they shall, waiting they happen. Again, is your girl VV to the VO. We on another episode of Street Creed with Television Nigeria. So today, I did in your market. I just asked one very simple question. People always talk, say police they lie, lawyer they lie. Today I can't say, okay, make I find out who really they lie past. So between police and lawyer, who they lie? If you want to hear the answer, come over enter your market, might go see my people.
Hey! You say what?
Between police and lawyer, who you they lie past?
Jesus is Lord. Police they lie. Police, ba? They lie.
Why you talk so?
Number 1, if you give police like this, then go talk with the whole talk. Lawyer, you get lawyer when they go to you, say they go even tell you truthful, settle case normal. I prefer lawyer than police. Police, may all of them go back to their country. For me, I go back for my own country.
Can you imagine?
Police na better person. Police wey go see through the waka koro, they go blow lie, they go even mark you join the truth where you get. For people to even run to police for rescue, they rather even go and meet a lawyer. Because police, they will see truth, but they will paint it black. That is them.
God will bless you. Well, actually, if I'm to say, I think police case in this country is a little bit complicated. You know, what I mean by being complicated is that even to a blind person, something that is actually clear to a blind person, you see the way the police can, you know, they would coil it, and then before you know it, they will see black and they will be calling it white. When they see white, they will call it black. In fact, the situation of the police in this country is a little bit, in fact, it's terrible.
Humility. Lovely.
Police.
Why?
Because they will see the truth and they will corner it because of money.
I can see that lawyer is more a liar than police.
Why?
Because when God will not let us have case.
Amen.
When you have a case, and they send a magistrate that you have to go and get lawyer. By the time you have one lawyer, the lawyer will tell you that, oh, this case, you can never handle. Whereas you have already collected your money. So the extent that they will never tell the other lawyers that they have collected your money, and that will be rising another money again.
See, you dey make me vex, so you dey make me vex.
Well, it's unfortunate that we hate police, and whenever we have problem, it is police that we run to. Lawyers and police, they are of the same. I'm telling you, lawyers and police are of the same. No two ways about that. You may be 40, and a lawyer may defend you, may be right. How many of the criminals that steal Nigerian money that was published in newspaper,
government know it. Has lawyer, and all lawyers set them free. Lawyers set them free. Are they not criminals? So lawyers and police, all of them, are the same. They are the people that are spoiling the nation. They are the same. No difference about that.
You sabi?
Who is? My dear, I can say that let's say the lawyer.
Why?
But it's part of their job. That is their cause. It's what they read. So okay. As in, they always come up. They can turn the truth upside down, but not all. Some of them, in short, they know they talk true.
The two of them.
Then they chop money, oh. Now money bribe.
So then they talk true.
Lawyer own if my worst, but police if he talk true.
Why you see you look serious? I better come up for that. I won't go where they go and they come.
Forget about police. They have spoiled their image. Lawyer is the only one that always help us with their hand. Lawyer is better than police, but let police reform themselves. If they do good, we will stand with them. And what is what I'm vibrating.
What's up, my people? How fun? I don't hear everything. The way the people they talk, but it feel like saying a lawyer they like us. But what do I know? I don't know. Please drop a comment below. Follow us on all social media platforms, and don't forget I remain your girl, BB to the BO.
All right, welcome back. What an interesting one right there from Nigerians,
I don't know what to
lawyers,
say.
and police. Who tells the truth more, or who tells the lies most?
Who they like pass?
Who they like pass? I love that simple way you put it. But you heard from them yourself.
Yes, I mean, some of them said that the lawyers and the police, they are the same. Some said the lawyers, they lie most. They lie more, and that the police is even better than the lawyer. I don't know. And then one said that the lawyers, that they are lying, they lie more, that it's their course. It's what they studied. It's part of their job.
You can only imagine what was running through my mind. Like, so somebody will now go to school to study how to tell lies.
Like one was saying, she said, you contract a lawyer, he knows, you know, this kind of, they cautiously know that you are wrong. He's like what you're saying, but they have to still defend you in the court. That but you see, the same thing is their job.
Yeah,
they have to do their job now.
It's what they studied, right?
It's what they studied. And then the police. But in your own view, who they lie past?
You don't really want me to say anything now. Let's still talk about this person that was practically talking about how there have been allegations of lootings and all, and then we still have lawyers who come out to stand for these people, then defend them and get them out of jail.
At the end of the day, you're seeing that it's very obvious that these people have committed grievous crimes, stealing funds. But at the end of the day, it's still the same lawyers that will have to bail them out. At the end of the day, is it that they say the case has been dismissed, or they have been granted bail when they shouldn't have been granted bail, or you say that there's no longer a case, they didn't loot any money. You see situations like that, and then you begin to wonder how credible.
I don't know how to put it. Maybe that's what makes the society interesting, where you now have boundaries and then you have freedoms, and then your ability to actually balance between your boundaries and your freedom and all is actually what makes you a rational being.
All right. All right. Still remember, our question for the day is, how many bones does the human body have? Please kindly drop your comments on our comment section for us, and we'll review the answers of our commenters tomorrow on the program. Meanwhile, I'll be launching another package on heritage.
Cultural diversity.
Thank you very much. Cultural diversity. Let's go there.
Hi, it's your favorite program, Heritage on Television Nigeria, and I am your undisputed Baby Girl for Life, Idris Jamila. Today we'll be talking about the unique cultural diversity found in Benue. So stay with us. Welcome back. Now, talking about a state with a rich and diverse cultural heritage comprising of colorful clothing, exotic masquerades, sophisticated music and dances, talk Benue. No wonder the tribes found there are rich in culture and tradition. Benue State, who is also referred to as the nation's food basket, is called that because of its rich agricultural produce, which includes yams, rice, beans, cassava, potatoes, maize, soya beans, soja, millet, and cocoyam. However, there is no state without tribes. This simply means Benue State is nothing without the people that exist in the various tribes found there. We will begin shortly after this quick break. Don't go away. Welcome back. Now let's begin with the Etolu tribe of Benue State. Etolu tribe, well, not much is known about the people of Etolu except the fact that they are farmers and have a population dominated by Christians and Muslims. Moving on to the Afo tribe. Afo people are closely related to the Idoma tribe. They have a population of about 100,000 people. They are found in modern-day Benue. The Afo tribe is a commercially advanced tribe with the occupation of farming, weaving, and dyeing. Most people in Afo are traditionalists. However, a small group of them are Muslims. Meanwhile, the tradition of the Afo people is greatly influenced by their religion. Men from this tribe put on a flowing gown, while women tie wrappers on blouses and cover their heads with hijabs. Wow, Igbo tribe in Benue? What are they doing there? Let's find out. The Igbos in Benue are a minority and about 1 million in number. They occupy about 4 local government areas and are found in towns that share borders with Ebonyi State. The Igbo tribe in Benue is not as advanced as other tribes in the state, although those people are considered part of the Igbo nation. In Benue State, they seem to lack the economic and political right that other tribes in Benue possess. Up next is the Utonkong tribe. Wow, let's find out if they migrated from China because that sounds like a Chinese. The Utonkong tribe in Benue State is one of the smallest tribes in the state. The Utonkong people are people that have not really mixed up with people from other parts of Nigeria. As a result of this, not so much is known about them. These people are a mixture of Christians, Muslims, and traditional worshippers. Men and women from this tribe put on a particular pattern of clothes that are sewn into different styles. Also, the Utonkong people are deeply into the production of food, while a few of them are also involved in trading. What about the Ufia tribe? The Ufia tribe of Benue has very few similarities with the Igbo tribe. The Ufia people are close neighbors with the Igbos. They speak a distinct language that is peculiar to this tribe. The predominant religion of the Ufia people is Christianity. Their major occupation are farming and trading. The people of Ufia dress like most other tribes in Benue. They put on a certain pattern of clothes that are made into different sizes. Who are the Igedes? We'll get to know after this quick break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Now, the Igede tribe is the third largest tribe in Benue State. The Igede people occupy Obi and Oju local government areas. They speak a language called Igede. History has it that they are descendants of Abba, a high priest of ancient times. The Igede people are farmers and known to cultivate cassava, maize, and yams. So, men and women from Igede tie wrappers in similar fashion to the people of Idoma. They are still coming. Let's talk about the Aweya Yachi tribe. The Awayachi people of Benue occupy the upper district of Otupo local government area. The Awayachi tribe is a sub-tribe under the Idoma tribe. They speak a language that is very similar to that of the Idoma people. The people of Awayachi are majorly farmers. Also, Christianity and Islam are widely practiced by those people. Men from Awayachi tie wrapper on the sacred. Their women tie wrappers on the headgears. Now, Jukun tribe. The Jukun people in Benue State that are close to the Benue Basin. Those people are believed to have broken out from the ancient Kwara kingdom. The Jukun people are farmers. Also, they practice Islam as Christianity. The Jukun people are farmers. Also, they practice Islam and Christianity. Over the years, the Jukun tribe has maintained its cultures. Men and women from this tribe are known to tie wrappers. Food eaten by the Jukun people is usually meals of tuwo and soup. Now we are moving to the two major tribes in Benue State, but shortly after the break, don't go away. Welcome back. Now is the Idoma. Wow. When I hear Idoma, the first thing that comes to my mind is the Okohu soup. The way and manner is prepared and even the looks. But we'll come to that later. Who are the Idomas? The Idoma tribe is one of the biggest tribes in Middle Belt, Nigeria. They occupy the western part of Benue State. The Idoma people are peaceful people, although in pre-independence days, they are known to be fierce warriors. Not much is known about their migration. However, they are Idomas in parts of Cross River State and Taraba State. The Idoma tribe has a population of about 3.5 million and a very rich culture that was not affected by the coming of the Europeans. Men and women in Idoma tie wrappers. The wrappers used by the Idoma people usually have a unique pattern and are peculiar to the people of the Benue State. Christianity and Islam are the major religions that are practiced by this tribe. Also, farming is the main source of livelihood. Finally, the same people with the swanky dance. I don't know how the of theirs, but it's always on point. Come to think of it, who are they? Tiv is an ethno-linguistic group or ethnic nation in West Africa. The tribe constitutes approximately 3.5% of Nigeria's population and number about 6.5 million individuals throughout Nigeria and Cameroon. Tiv language is spoken by about 7 million people in Nigeria with a few speakers in Cameroon. The Tivs are one of the most powerful people in the state. However, peace-loving and hospitable, this tribe believe in communal way of living that accommodate all as far as there is unity. They are predominantly Christians. Tiv people are majorly farmers. They put on a particular clothing pattern, black and white, which is usually sewn into any style. The Tiv people have a popular slogan, Ayatutu Kau no, with the response Kase, meaning a call.
All right, welcome back from that package on cultural diversity. They were very precise about the Benue people. You get a yo.
Yeah.
All right. The Idoma and the
TV, the Tulos, and then the Igbos and the rest.
Tell us more. Preach. Tell us more.
Time will permit us to do that right now.
All right. Yeah. All right. That's the much we can take today on Daybreak Africa here on television Nigeria. Remember, our question for today is: how many bones does the human body have? We'll read your comments tomorrow on the program. My name is Messi Joe.
And my name is LV Soga. I'd like to say a very big thank you for riding with us. Join us tomorrow, same time, same place. Let's do this again. Until then, it's a bye-bye from us.
Bye, people.